Greetings and welcome to the Dr. J Vlog Series. It is Thursday, May 8th, 2025, and on Thursdays we look into knowledge and science. So for the past couple of weeks, I've been talking about the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, SETI, and then the possibility of intelligent life having visited us here on Earth. And in both instances, I've suggested that definitive evidence of the existence of life beyond the Earth would be, or extraterrestrial life having visited us on Earth, would be a game changer, would be the ultimate in terms of a paradigm shift in our understanding of the universe or our place within it. So, to my way of thinking, this would be the most amazing discovery ever. There is a third option, in a manner of speaking, in terms of trying to identify the possibility of life, and I think it might actually be the most fruitful of all, at least in the absence of, again, definitive evidence of life on other planets and other solar systems, that sort of thing, or having an ET come here and phone home. So, and that is comets and asteroids. Right? So both of these have important messages to tell us about our own solar system and planetary formation, as well as providing potential information with respect to the origins of life. So, comets, as you probably are well aware, are comprised mostly of ice and dust. And in our solar system, they typically originate either from the Kuiper belt, which is just beyond Neptune, or the Oort cloud. That's believed to be, to lie at the outer edges of the solar system and can extend from anywhere from 2,000 to 200,000 astronomical units away from us. So an astronomical unit, by the way, is just the average distance from the Earth to the Sun, roughly about 150 million kilometers. So our asteroids, then, are mostly rocky and metallic in nature, and mainly, again, located in the asteroid belt between Jupiter and Mars. And so they're circling the Sun in various orbits, some of them somewhat irregular. And on occasion, these can come perilously close to Earth, although the odds of actually plowing into the Earth are quite low. Nevertheless, space agencies like NASA, like the European Space Agency, are continually monitoring what they call near-Earth objects, NEOs, and what are their trajectories, and what are their projected trajectories years ahead. And so one that made news recently, 2024YR4, was originally projected to have been having a greater than 2% chance of impacting the Earth in some way in 2032. And so that certainly set the alarm bells off. But most recently, NASA has significantly lowered the risk with respect to that particular asteroid. As observations of the asteroid have continued and they've been submitted and analyzed, the experts at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, the JPL, the Center for NEO Studies, Near-Earth Objects, calculated more precise models of that particular asteroid's trajectory, and they've now updated the impact, that is when it's supposed to come by in December of 2032. They're now suggesting that the odds of an impact are only 0.004%, so significantly less than a 1% chance. And in addition, scientists found that there's no significant potential for this particular asteroid to impact our Earth in the next century. So that's some good news. But again, there are a number of other NEOs that we're tracking as well. And then perhaps most ambiguously, there are those that we haven't detected yet. So there's always the potential of other objects impacting the Earth. But again, it's a question of detecting. They're so small and they're so dark typically. It's very difficult to continuously track all of these NEOs. But again, that's part of our broader mission, shall we say, of the space agencies, or those that are charged with the responsibility of examining and tracking NEOs. Now, what's really cool about comets and asteroids are the stories that they tell. They are the starry messengers. And the latest technological advancements have allowed human beings then to send probes to study their contents, rather than relying upon the meteoric fragments that eventually fall to Earth and they mostly burn up, by the way, en route. But then they change the compositions, and they change a number of different characteristics. And so rather than rely upon meteorites, it's actually better if we can go to the sources themselves directly, the comets and the asteroids. And in most cases, or where we've funded missions to do this, we have funded a number of flybys, as they call them. But in rare instances, we've actually been able to send probes directly to the surfaces of these space messengers. So one remarkable example occurred in 2020 when NASA's Origins Spectral Interpretation, Resource Identification, and Security Regolith Explorer spacecraft. Yeah, there's not even really a good acronym for that, but they use one. Nonetheless, but this particular one dove down to the surface of the near-Earth asteroid Bennu, Bennu, and then retrieved rocks dating back 4.5 billion years in origins. And so then after returning to the Earth some 3 years later, scientists started their forensic analyses. And what's most remarkable is that Bennu was apparently part of a water-soaked world with an abundance of prebiotic organic materials. Long since vanished, of course, but nonetheless, we could see evidence. And the resemblances to the earliest stages of the Earth, to Earth, before life emerged are quite incredible. And so Bennu literally carried the exact same building blocks of life within its minerals. And the idea is to examine the contents, including the prebiotic compounds, to search for clues that might help us understand how life could have emerged, or the origins of life. So the broader issue seems to be that Bennu can be something of a proxy for all the other carbon and water-rich asteroids that have been circling our sun for the past few billion years. And the carbonaceous material that composes Bennu originally came from the disintegration of a planetoid or protoplanetoid. And so much like almost all other matter in our solar system, the origins of Bennu's materials and the very atoms are the byproducts of dying stars. And so according to the accretion theory, these materials coalesced around 4.5 billion years ago, or roughly the same time as the formation of our solar system. And so the basic mineralogy and chemical nature were established during the first 10 million years of the solar system's formation, where the carbonaceous material underwent some geologic heating and chemical transformations inside a much larger planetoid, or again, perhaps a protoplanetoid, that was capable of producing the necessary pressure and heat and hydration to form more complex minerals. And so what's most fascinating then about Bennu is that the samples provided were actually packed with clays and other mineral assemblages that revealed dynamic transformations over time, such as being saturated in liquid water, or even having some of the water having evaporated to leave behind salts. And the processes then involved hint at the possibility of hydrothermal systems that were driven by melting ice. And the ice would have melted for millions of years because the original planetoid had a warm geological core that was heated by the decay of radioactive isotopes. And then additionally, and again, I think most intriguingly, the mission team announced the surprising presence of phosphates in the samples, which mirrors in large measure what has been found in warm liquid water oceans that are buried, for example, beneath at least one of Saturn's moons. And so while the scientists have long speculated that the origins of water on Earth may have come from icy comets originally, and that would make sense, but the problem is that the chemical fingerprints of the comets are different than what we find, or are not an exact match to what we find here on Earth. And in contrast, Bennu's ingredients seem to be much more similar to those on Earth, suggesting that asteroids may have been a major early source of Earth's water. And then finally, and perhaps most importantly of all, just a couple of months ago, a scientist reported that Bennu's samples contain amino acids, including 14 of the 20 that are used in the proteins here on Earth. And furthermore, the samples contain all 5 nucleobases that are used in DNA and RNA. And so the evidence seems to suggest then that the raw materials of life may be quite widespread throughout our solar system. And it's possible then that asteroids like Bennu could have contributed directly to the development of life on Earth itself. But regardless, and just speaking for myself, obviously, I'm more convinced than ever that we are indeed all stardust. I'm just hoping that within my remaining decades, we will finally discover the exact mechanisms that led to the transformation of stardust into organic life. And then ultimately, of course, intelligent life. So I promise if I learn any groundbreaking discoveries in this, or learn of, I should say, any groundbreaking discoveries in this regard, I'll certainly share them immediately. And I would ask you to do the same. It's always interesting to track the latest developments in this regard. Okay, until next time, and until our next joint mission, whatever that might be, may you and yours continue to create peace in your lives, nurture love in your hearts, and dole out hugs in abundance. And I'll see you on the moon. I'll see you soon. Take care.